watching Rogers TV.
This is 5 Minutes to Curtain. Is it true that a ghost can actually stop production or slow down production of a local theater group? I don't think so. This is 5 Minutes to Curtain. Today we are in Cookstown at the Cookstown Town Hall, and what I would call a very interesting hall at that, with Sandy and Nancy. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for doing this with us today. Yeah, as I was saying, this building has got not only a unique history, but it does have apparently some stories to add. Do you mind talking a little bit about that? We won't get into too much.
Sure, no problem. So we are in a building that was built in 1867. Where we are now in the theater, which is the upstairs part of it, this was built in 1923. So since 1867, there's been a lot of traffic through here. And there's been a few folks that have decided to stick around.
Okay.
From time to time. There certainly have been some demonstrated examples of, I don't know if you'd call it hauntings, but visitations from people who haven't passed over to where they need to be. But it's an interesting place to work. We've had a few examples when we've been on stage of things happening that you would go, that shouldn't have happened.
Really?
Lights coming, you go out and you turn off all the lights and you come back and there's some lights on. And yeah, so we figure there's no shorts in the wall because we've been ESA tested. So we figure there may be something else at work here.
Anything happened like during a show?
Yeah, actually, one that I was in.
Oh no.
Yeah, we'll never do it again either. But we had a show that we, for whatever reason, ended up being on over Halloween. Bad idea. Bad idea. And the one night we had multiple technical things go wrong. We had, there's a mic in the roof so that we can hear downstairs in the dressing room when we need to come on. And my colleague and I were downstairs waiting for our cue. And all you could hear was, you couldn't hear anything on stage except this tap, 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 tap sound. And it was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Yeah, and a few other little things went on. So we have somebody who actually is an empath who will come in and help us from time to time and clear the house for us. But we have not had any issues in a very, very long time. We're pretty clear right now.
I think, didn't the Village Inn have some issues too at one point, didn't it?
It may very well have.
I think there were stories of something.
There's lots of history
ago.
in Innisfil in general about different kinds of things happening here. But yeah, we've got a nice old enough building that I think we probably have a few interesting stories.
Yes, of course. But on the positive side of that, this building also offers you some very unique opportunities as well. It gives you that historical side to work with, historical place. Do you find the whole environment here, it being a very cozy historical building, do you find that actually work for you as an advantage sometimes?
Absolutely, I would say so. One of the things that people always say about this is that the intimacy of the place, it's a 180-seat theater, and the acoustics are wonderful in here. We never have to mic our actors ever, which is a rarity these days. Many times you go into a community theater or otherwise, and everybody's mic'd. We don't mic our actors at all. And there's just a sense of coming home. That's one of the things that we hear from a lot of people, is that the South Simcoe Theatre in the Old Town Hall in Cookstown is a place to come that people call home.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building for sure. Let's talk a little about your theatrical past, your history. Maybe we'll talk with you first, Andy. What's your past as far as theater, and how did you get involved with it?
Well, I came to South Simcoe Theatre in 2000 actually, and I came as a tap dancer. I was convinced to come down and audition for 42nd Street, which was one of my very, very favorite musicals. And I came as a dancer to tap dance, and then they found out that I could sew. So I costumed the next play, which was Godspell. And then several years later, after costuming and doing a little bit of choreography, I was asked, have you ever thought about directing? And I said, no. So I ended up directing a show, and then another show, and then so I've directed a few, costumed a few, choreographed a few. Yeah.
You wear a few of your own hats. I guess you could say that. Yeah. So you're directing, producing, wardrobe, makeup too. Does that get included as well? Do you get involved with that?
Typically not makeup, but I do end up wigging. Yeah. Producing, no. Producing is too hard. I don't want to do that job.
We talked about that earlier, didn't we?
Yeah. Production and stage management, no, not my forte. I don't want to do those jobs. They're too hard. I'll do everything else.
Yeah. Don't blame you.
Or perform. I mean, I enjoy being on stage too. Yeah.
Have you done anything recently with the group, as acting goes?
As far as acting goes, I guess the 50th anniversary show is probably the last one. And I've performed in a couple of the pantos. One of them is a very last-minute replacement. We had an actress literally break a leg at one of our final rehearsals. Oh, wow. Yeah, so I got to step in as the stepmother for Cinderella, which was a dream role that I would never have had, but it was a lot of fun.
What about you, Nancy? What's your past with theater?
I've been involved with theater and acting and music since I could talk, probably. But from the South Simcoe Theatre's perspective, I started here in 2011. We have a 4-play play reading festival every year, and that's the first time I got involved was being cast as an actor in that. And then I've just sort of gone from there to there to there, always on stage, until the middle of the pandemic. And I had just retired from my paying job, and I decided to get involved with the board. And then the next year I became president of the board, and it's a full-time volunteer job, but it's so much fun, and I have such a great group of people to work with, and we have an amazing time. So yeah, so that's my history with SST since 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does the group choose its shows? There's productions that you're going to be putting on. Is it basically up to a committee that chooses, or is it yourself that picks most of the shows?
No, we have a play selection committee, and they work from about May until December every year, reading plays, listening to plays, going to plays, any way they can get their hands on plays. We typically do 2 musicals and 1 straight play a year as our main season. And then we have a panto that Sandy alluded to that is our family-friendly holiday show that goes up in December. And then we have the play reading festival, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for those 3 main season productions, they are looked at by our play selection committee that then comes to the board, and then the board looks at, they come up with several recommendations, and then we take those recommendations and sit around and have a chin wag and decide what we're going to do from there.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. And how about with your casting? Do you find it challenging at all, being in a bit of a smaller community? Obviously, you guys are expanding all out, because I know there's people from Barrie that drive down and all over the place.
They come from all over.
Yeah. Has it been a problem, just people thinking that, it's a small town theater, it's not quite as big, or is it really, like I say, you're drawing from all over central Ontario, I guess, aren't you?
Well, we are, and I'll let Sandy take the bulk of this question, but we've had people come from as far away as Guelph and Toronto to perform in our productions. But maybe you want to talk a little bit about how your casting went for the show that you're working on right now.
Yeah, surprisingly, we ended up with more people than I thought we would for the show. We have an amazing cast for this show. Absolutely amazing. We have 5 young people who have gone through theater school, who are semi-professional, want to make a profession of theater, and I can't say enough about the cast for the next show that we have going on.
And we're really lucky because we continue to get some theaters tend to attract the same group of people over and over again. And I would say, I can't really speak too much from before the pandemic because I wasn't as involved. I was more on stage, not behind the scenes kind of thing. But since the pandemic, we're getting so many new faces, and it's just amazing. You know, I'd say probably for the entire season, 50% of everybody that's been on stage with us has been new to SST, close to 50%, which is fantastic. I think it's remarkable. And I think we have a reputation in the community as being and I go back to this again, a welcoming. Somebody in one of our workshops, we do education as well. We do theater education, and one of the attendees said to us that we are a safe place to land. Okay. And I think that goes for our workshops as well as our productions, and I think that reputation gets out there, and people say, hey, you know what? If I want to, this is a good place to learn, but it's also a good place to come out and audition and feel safe and welcome, and I think that reputation precedes us, and I think that's helped us a lot. Yeah. So it's basically open. You have open to the public then, or the cast? Yeah. 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 Actually, the next show that we have going on, you say new people. We have 3 people that this is their second show with SST, and one person, this is their first real show, first musical ever. Yeah. So you get them all ages, all ages. A little bit of everything. Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. What's the variances you've had from oldest to youngest? Well, I think in any one particular show, we've gone from teen to 80s. Okay. In their 80s. Yeah. We don't always do shows that have a lot of kids in them, but when we did Fiddler on the Roof, we were even younger than that. We had, I think, 6. I think from 6 till, I'm going to say, late 70s in that one. Okay. So, yeah, you know, as long as you are able to, you know, participate in whatever way that looks for you, we're open to looking at you as a potential cast member. Yeah. Good. That's awesome. And I'd always, I think it's interesting with theater because it is ageless, and you work aside all of these people throughout the process, and then you find out their real age, and it's always stunning because we're all the same age when we're on the stage. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's a great leveler. Yeah, really is. That's right. Yeah. Literally, you're all on the same stage level. Yeah, we are. Yeah, for sure. How has the community of Cookstown itself been towards the group? You got a lot of support in town, sponsorship, et cetera? We have an amazing community, not only just Cookstown, but the town of Innisfil in general. We have a number of advertisers that advertise with us year after year after year in our program. We have meal deals with 4 local restaurants in Cookstown that if you bring your ticket for that particular day, you get a discount of anywhere from 10 to 15% off. We have nights where we offer our advertisers to come and see the shows. The town of Innisfil and Mayor Lynn Dolan have been the most supportive people. This is their building. We don't own this building. We rent from the town. And even though this is an older building and you worry sometimes about what's the future of an older building, the town recently did a facilities master plan. And we ranked extremely highly in that as to the usefulness of the building, the usefulness of the theater within the community, and their willingness to make sure that we keep doing what we're doing in this building. And as long as these 4 walls, etc., keep standing, they look after all the maintenance for us, and there isn't anything that they don't do for us. They are absolutely fantastic. So I would say the support here is stunning, and we're really lucky because you look at other theaters that don't have their own space and they have to rent space. Oh yes, yeah. And we are just so blessed to have this building. We really are. Yeah, that's great. Let's talk a little bit about the workshops. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. That interests me quite a bit. Absolutely. Do you want to talk a little bit, explain a little bit what they are all about and
how people can get involved with them and
Sure.
anything else? Yeah.
And then you can tell them about your workshop.
Sure.
Absolutely. So we have, this year, 2 years ago, we got a grant from the Ontario Trillium Foundation to do a number of things coming out of COVID. And one of them was to start workshops. And we've parlayed that into a fantastic education program led by Scott Hurst, who is an ex-Stratford alum and a local theater, an actor, director, producer, you name
Wonderful
it.
man, yes.
Fantastic. He's the best. So he's on the board with us this year, and he's our education director. And he has started, we've got level 1 and 2 level 1 and level 2 acting. We've had a stage management workshop. We've had a director's workshop. Sandy's done a costuming workshop and is going to do another one for us. Tell a little bit about it. I love the costume workshop. It's the best. It's really, really good.
Sure, yeah, the costuming workshop, I take people right from how to read the play and pick out little pieces and how to costume according to the playwright and the era of the play, and down to how to costume each character and each person and how they're playing their character. Because you can read a play and costume a character according to the play, but that may not be how the actual individual actor is playing them. How to modify streetwear to become costumes, because there's a lot of magic that goes on for quick changes and underdressing and overdressing, and so yeah, color choices, fabric choices, things that will look like wool but maybe aren't wool, because when you put wool on an actor on a stage, they don't like you very much.
No, they don't. No.
It gets
There's
very
lots of
warm.
things to think about, isn't there? Yeah.
It looks so simple on stage, but what goes into it in the background.
Yeah.
And so we're working on our spring and summer offerings as well this year. We're looking at doing some youth workshops, some older adult workshops. We're looking to do some play reading around the queer play lexicon that's out there. So we're trying to appeal to all areas of the community. And we have an increasingly diverse community as well. So we want to make sure that people from different backgrounds and cultures know that this is also a place that they can come to learn, to be on the stage, and that we open our doors. There's unless you're doing a play that is written in a specific way that a certain type of culture or a skin color is absolutely required, like something like A Raisin in the Sun, we cast open. If you can do the job, pink, purple, polka dots, we don't care. If you're who we want, if you can do the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What show do you think would be the biggest challenge to put on? Would it be the pantomime, or would it be the music? I imagine musical's got a lot of detail involved with it too. We'll get into the musical side of it in a bit too, but is there some that are a little bit more challenging than others, would you find?
I think it depends. I think musicals have a lot more moving parts in some ways, but straight plays can be very challenging as well. I don't know. You're the director. You tell. You talk to that one.
I think the plays with a larger cast,
Yes.
and plays definitely with a number of sets are difficult are more difficult in our setting, because we don't have large wings where we can house a lot of set pieces and props and actors. We don't have we don't have a lot of space. So it takes a lot of planning to have something that has more than one set, more than one area that we need to display.
Yeah, so it could be just as challenging for a musical as a straight play, depending on the nature of the play, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of musical, let's talk a little bit with Ernesto. He's not here, unfortunately. But can we talk a little bit about what his role is with the musical side of things?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Ernesto?
Sure, I'd love to talk about Ernesto. He is our musical director for the play that we're currently working on, is Honeymoon in Vegas.
Yeah.
And he's bringing a lot to the table. He has energy plus. He has put the cast through their paces. their vocals are beautiful. The way everything is coming together is wonderful. He's putting together a fantastic orchestra for this production. We typically have a band, but this particular play really needs a full orchestra sound. It'd be fully orchestrated. So in our little loft, he is fully orchestrating this for us, and he's a joy to work with. Absolute joy to work with.
That's crazy. So how did is he the one responsible for putting all that side of it together then? And so up there, how much room is actually up there? I don't want to look up there now, but
there's not a lot.
Okay, so it's not a big orchestra then, I take it.
It's not. He's going to have 7 people up there,
Okay.
which is, I believe, the largest number of people we've
It's
ever
about all we
had
can
in
fit in
our
there.
musicians' loft.
They have to get along really well. They have to like each other.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
It's close
yeah,
quarters
yeah.
up there.
We're typically, 4
4 or 5, yeah.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's talk a little bit about Honeymoon in Vegas, and but before we talk about that, let's talk about some shows that you've done before that. Is there any memorable shows that you've put on in the last couple of years that really stood out? Any ones that were, well, maybe we shouldn't have done that, but were there some that people just flocked to and wanted to see a repeat performance?
I think, well, I mean, some of the sort of the golden age musicals tend to be very attractive to people. Fiddler on the Roof was very well received. Our 50th anniversary celebration, because the South Simcoe Theatre has been actually in business, not here physically, but in business since 1966.
Oh, okay.
And we've been in this building since 1983. So in 2016, we did a sort of a retrospective of the 50 years of plays and musicals that we had been putting on since 1966.
That's a great idea.
Before we moved here, they were based out of, they actually started in Alliston. And so they were based out of a various number of places. Sometimes they did up at Georgian Theatre, Banting Memorial High School in Alliston, and then they found this as their permanent home. So from one of my personal favorites, I mean, other than the 50th, is a play that I was in. I'll be transparent about that, and you can tell them all about ones you liked. We did an amazing production of a play called Dancing at Lunasa by Brian Friel, who's an Irish playwright. And it's a memory play. And I believe it won a Tony on Broadway. Fantastic, fantastic play. So that sticks in my mind as being one of my absolute favorite plays that we've done here. And it was very well received.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, there's too many to mention.
I know.
Yeah.
There are just so many. I think maybe one of the standouts is Urinetown.
Yes.
The year that we did Urinetown. And we were part of an association of community theaters, and there's they run a festival each year. And then there's a gala and awards and so on. And with Urinetown, we won several awards.
Yeah, they cleaned up.
We
Urinetown.
We kind of did with
Absolutely.
Urinetown.
Yeah.
I was just involved with costumes with that one, but every aspect of that show was absolutely amazing. Oh boy, there are too many to mention.
Yeah.
And again, it's so subjective, right, Ian? I mean,
Yeah,
it's so
is,
subjective.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've ever had anybody go running screaming from the theater going, "Oh my God, that's the worst thing I've ever seen." We've had people walk out of things, but that's to be expected. But yeah, it's just again, theater is very subjective.
Yeah,
it's from the heart.
It truly is.
And we're lucky that, well, I don't say lucky, but fortunate that almost all the plays that we've put on, you hear from the audience and people say, "Wow, I never thought I'd see something like that north of Toronto." It's everything is, we're so well received, and we attract great people for our audiences. We attract great people to be on our stages and great people to be backstage to support. Right from building the sets to selling the tickets to looking after the refreshments. We seem to attract great people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I
good.
think so.
Good.
I think so.
Let's talk a little bit about Honeymoon in Vegas.
Sure.
Let's do that. Yes. So
Sure.
explain a little bit more about the whole show itself, if you don't mind.
Well, it is based on a young man who has made a promise to his dying mother that he will never get married, but then he meets the love of his life and he wants to break the promise. So a lot of interesting things ensue as he tries to propose to his girlfriend, and he finally gets up the nerve, and the vision of his mother appears, and so he loses his nerve, then he gets up his nerve, so he says they fly to Las Vegas. So they go from New York, they fly to Vegas. When they get to Vegas, a gambler sees the girlfriend. She reminds him of his dead wife, so he takes an interest in her, and a lot goes on there. Then they end up going to Hawaii, and the young Jack follows them to Hawaii to win his girlfriend back. They end up back in Vegas. There are a lot of situations, a lot of sights, a lot of people, a lot of action.
So is all this on stage with all these set changes and everything?
All these set changes.
Wow.
It's just a revolving.
You have been busy.
Yes. It's all musically driven. This play is so beautifully written that everything continues through the music, and the music drives the story. So it's not a musical where everybody runs to the center of the stage and the action stops. You go, okay, let's have to dance now. Ooh, we're at 12 minutes. Okay, let's dance now. This is, they're speaking, and it goes directly into a song, and then it moves into a dance, and it goes back into a song, and it goes back. It flows right through. The man who wrote the music equates the show, he equates it to the Muppet Show.
Oh, that's interesting.
He loves the Muppet Show, and he wrote this with the Muppet Show in mind. And I happen to love the Muppet Show because it was just my era. And when I first read it, I thought, oh yeah, I can see that. And then I saw an interview with him and thought, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Jason Robert Brown is the writer, the music composer, and he's just he's
brilliant.
He's absolutely brilliant.
What do you think the audience is going to take away from it?
I think they will take the music away. They're going to be singing these tunes for a long time after they leave, and just an uplifting feeling of humanity. There are so many human situations in the play, like quite a few different human situations, and they're all handled very well. I think people will just go away with a very good feeling.
Come for the music, stay for the flying Elvi.
That's a great way of terming it.
Yes, yeah.
And we've got the scenic design is fantastic. We've got an absolutely phenomenally talented artist from Barrie whose name is Sandy Bishop.
Oh, I know Sandy.
You know Sandy? Okay,
Yeah,
so she has painted these canvases, just
amazing,
just unbelievable, and they rotate throughout the. I'm so excited.
She's talented.
I'm so excited.
Thank you very much, ladies. It was an honor. It was a pleasure, and all the best with Cookstown Theatre.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.